Hello, today we are going to be going over the Unit 5 final review as a voiceover. So let's start. Our very first question, let me zoom in a little bit, reads, find the volume of a cylinder. Use 3.14 as an approximation for pi and round your answer to the nearest tenth. So the things that you need to really take care of, and think about, you're going to use 3.14 in your calculation versus the pi button on your calculator. And then lastly is round your answer to the nearest tenth. So that's what we got to remember. So we have a cylinder. I'm just going to write down a few things. We have a diameter that equals 16, and we have a height that equals 3. In our formula for a cylinder, what we need to do is find the volume. So the volume for a cylinder volume equals pi times radius squared times our height. So let's look at what we need to know. We need to find out our volume. We know pi is 3.14 because that's what it tells us to do in the directions, times our radius squared. Well, right now we don't have radius, but we know radius is half the diameter. So radius equals 16 divided by 2, which equals 8. So we're going to use 8. So that's 8 squared, and we know our height is 3. So we have 3.14 times 64, 8 squared, 8 times 8, 64 times 3. So lastly, let's just plug this all into our calculator, 3.14 times 64 times 3. And that equals 602. Now it says we need to round to the nearest tenth. I don't know if you can see that in the calculator. It's 602.88. So the round to the nearest tenth, we look at the number behind the tenth, so we're looking in the hundreds place. The 8's going to make the first 8 round up. So it's going to be 602.9. And we're going to label this units cubed with a 3. That's our answer. Number 2. Almost identical to number 1, however, let's see what they're asking. So we're going to find the volume of the cylinder again. This time we have to write our answer in terms of pi. So that means we're not getting rid of our pi. Our pi is going to be part of our answer. So I'm going to write down the things that we know. We know our radius, in this case, is 6. And we know our height is 18. It might look weird that our height is 18. It's only because our cylinder is laying sideways. Alright, so let's use our same formula. Volume equals pi times radius squared times our height. And let's just plug in the information that we know. We know our volume equals, we know pi is pi. We've got to keep it the same. We know our radius is 6, so it's going to be 6 squared. And we know our height is 18. So, when we're leaving in terms of pi, it means we're just going to keep it there. We're not going to multiply by pi at all. We're just going to keep it as part of our answer. So, all we need to do is this part. So 6 squared, that means 6 times 6, so 6 times itself. So it's 36, so pi times 36 times 18. 36 times 18 is 648. 648, and then we still have this pi. So when they say leave your answer in terms of pi, that's what they mean. This is your full answer, 648 pi. Moving on to number 3. In number 3, it says Snoopy's buying a red paint for his doghouse. He found 2 options at the store. One, a cylindrical can, has a radius of 10 centimeters, so a radius of 10 and a height of 28. And the other can has a radius of 18 and a height of 9. So, if we drew these, it's not the best, but they said the radius is 10. And our height is 28. These are all centimeters. And our second one it's going to be fatter. It's 18 as a radius, so we're going to have a little bigger circle. We're going to have an 18 here for our radius. And it's only 9 centimeters tall, so it's pretty short. So my drawings aren't the best, but that's I'm going to go with right now. So what we need to do is we have 2 paint cans. So we have option 1 and option 2. They want to know which one's going to hold more paint. We have to explain by showing our math. That's our explanation. So we're going to use our volume equals pi times radius squared times our height for both of these. In this one, if you notice, it didn't say leave your answer in terms of pi. It didn't say use 3.14. So in this case, just you can use the pi button, or if you want, just use 3.14. Pi times radius squared times our height. So we're going to use option 1. This one is our option 1, our first drawing. And option 2. First drawing. So volume equals pi. So if you want to put I'm going to use 3.14. 3.14 times our radius, in this case it's 10, so it's 10 squared, times our height of 28. So I want to do the math of this. There's nothing I can do with 3.14, so I'll just carry it down. 10 squared, 10 times 10 is 100. And I'll multiply that times 28. So I want to multiply these 3 numbers together. 3.14 times 100 times 28. And we get an answer of 8,792. Volume equals 8,792 centimeters cubed. So it worked out perfect, meaning that there's no decimal if we use 3.14. If you use the pi button, maybe your answer is going to be a little bit, it'll be close, but maybe you're going to get a decimal with it. Okay, moving on to our second option, same formula. So volume equals, I'm going to use 3.14 as my pi. Our option 2, our radius is 18. 18 squared times our height of 9. And what we're going to do, volume equals 3.14. There's nothing we can do with that. 18 squared. 18 times 18 is 324 times 9. I'm going to multiply these 3 numbers together. 3.14 times 324 times 9 equals 9,156.24 centimeters cubed. So we look at our numbers. We have 8,792 and 9,156.24. Option 2, even if it's shorter, not as tall, but it's definitely has a bigger radius, that's going to show us in this problem that it can hold more paint. So option 2 can hold more paint. There's our answers. We need those 3 things when we're explaining our reasoning. We can clearly see our math behind option 1, option 2, and we just proved that option 2 is bigger, can hold more paint, has more volume. Let's flip the page. Moving on to cones. So in cones, it says find the volume of a cone. We're going to use 3.14 as our approximate for pi, and then we have to round our answers to the nearest 10. So very similar to what we did on the first side, but for our cone, we're going to use this formula, volume, so we have volume of cone. Its volume equals 1/3 times pi times radius squared times our height. All right, let's take a look at our cone that's given to us. Right now we have a diameter of 15, so D equals 15. And we have a height of 16. Those. So let's look at our formula. We need, we know 1/3 is fine, pi is fine. Radius, we need to find the radius. Well, we know the radius is half the diameter. So radius will equal 15 divided by 2, which is 7.5. So we're going to use that for our radius. And height is already given to us. So when we do this, it's going to be equal to 1/3 times, we're going to use 3.14 for our pi, times 7.5 squared, and then times our height of 16. So I want to figure out what 7.5 is squared. It's 56.25. So we have 1/3 times 3.14 times 56.25 times 16. So I'm going to multiply these 4 things into my calculator. And this should do it. So those of you who are using a TI 30X, you can just, to do the fractions, you can go, I want 1/3, so I'm going to go 1, then this ABC button, 3, then I'm going to go times 3.14, times 56.25, times 16. We get a grand total of 942. Volume equals 942. When we look at what units we're using, we're units of centimeters, units cubed. That is our answer, 942 centimeters cubed. Moving on to our next one, find the volume of this cone. So this one, the radius is going to equal to 2, and our height is going to equal to 8. And we're going to use this formula, volume equals 1/3 times pi times our radius squared times our height. So let's look at our instruction for this one. Find the volume of the cone, write the answer in terms of pi. So that means we're going to keep pi there, we're not going to touch it. So we're just going to plug in everything we know. So volume equals, so 1/3 stays the same, pi is going to stay the same. Radius we know is 2, so it's 2 squared, and our height is going to be 8. So I'm going to figure out 2 squared, so volume equals 1/3 times pi times 2 squared is 2 times 2 is 4 times 8. So in this one, since we're leaving our answer in terms of pi, I want to multiply everything I'm going to box in here. So 1/3 times 4 times 8. Well, 8 times 4 is 32. And we're going to multiply that by 1/3, 1 ABC3 on this calculator. It's 10 2/3. So volume equals 10 2/3 pi. We keep it pi in our answer. If you have this as a decimal, maybe you have it as 10 and 0.6 repeating pi. That could be an answer. Or maybe you have as an improper fraction. It could be 32 over 3 pi. So any of these 3 answers will work. Easiest one, the most popular one, right, just uses 10 2/3. And how that would look on a calculator, it's 10, there's this little, like half a U, and 2/3. That's how it would look like on this type of calculator. Okay, zoom out. Okay, and number 6. All right, I'm going to do number 6. Again, I got interrupted. So it says cones A and B both have a volume of 36 pi cubic units, but they have different dimensions. Cone A has a radius of 6 units and a height of 3. For our question, it says find one possible radius and height for cone B. So what we're going to do is, let's draw our cone. So we have cone A. So our radius given to us. It says a 6 and a height of 3. 6, height of 3, and our volume has to be 36 pi. Those are the three things. Now they're asking us to come up with another cone that has different dimensions, but it has the same exact volume. So we need to have a volume of 36 pi. We need to know height, and we need to know the radius. So to do this problem, we need to pick a number. It could be any number. I want to pick a radius of 3. H, we've got to figure that out. When we have when we're given a number here, when we're given 2 of the 3 numbers, so there's 1, 2, 3, we're able to find the other one. All we need to have is 2 of them. All right, so you can pick any number you want there, though. I'm going to pick 3. So let's figure out what our height would be with a volume of 36. So when we're dealing with a cone, our formula is volume equals 1/3 times pi times radius squared times our height. So I'm just going to plug in everything we know. We know the volume is 36 pi equals, 1/3 is 1/3. We know pi is pi. Radius, I made up 3 is going to be a radius, so it's going to be 3 squared. But we don't know our h. So I'm just going to try to clean this up a little bit. And I'm going to divide by pi on both sides. That cancels, so we get 36. I'm also going to go 3 squared. 3 times 3 is 9, so we have 1/3 times 9 times our h. 1/3 times 9 is 3. So we have 3h equals 36. And then we have to divide by 3 to get h all alone. 36 divided by 3 is 12, so h will be 12. Okay, to find out show that these are all equal. The next question is saying, how do you know cone B has the same volume as cone A? So what we can do is just set them equal to each other. Using our formula, we could say 1/3 times pi. So I'll write out the formula here. Times radius squared times our height has to equal, this is going to be for cone A, and cone B has to be 1/3 times pi times radius squared times height. They should equal each other. So let's plug in information for cone A. 1/3 stays the same, pi stays the same. Our radius in cone A was 6, so that's going to be 6 squared times our height of 3. Should equal 1/3 times pi times our radius that I picked. Well, if for cone B was 3, so it's going to be 3 squared times our height. We figured out our height is 12. So when we do the math of all this, it should come out even. So let's take care of the left side. So 1/3 times 3, this is like 3 over 1. 3 things cancel out, 1's cancel out. So all we have left is a 6 squared. Well, 6 times 6 is 36. So we have 36 pi equals, so I want to get rid of this fraction, 1/3 times 12. So 12 over 1, take a 3 out. 3 becomes a 1, 12 becomes a 4. So all we have left, so this 1/3 is gone. So it's going to be pi times 3 squared is 9 times 4. 9 times 4 is 36, and then we have 36 pi equals 36 pi. Yes, it works out on both sides. Flipping it over, talking about spheres now. trying to find the dimensions given. So it says find the volume of the sphere. Write your answer in terms of pi. So we want our answer to be in with pi. So the formula for a sphere is volume equals 4 over 3 times pi times radius cubed. Cubes means a number times itself 3 times. So in this case, what's given to us is our diameter is 34. We know to find the radius, it's taking our diameter and dividing it by 2. So if we did that, radius would equal 34 divided by 2, which equals 17. So r will equal 17. So we're going to use that 17 in our problem. So let's plug in everything we know. Volume, we got to solve that. So volume equals 4 over 3 times pi. We're going to keep it as pi because that's what they want us to keep it in. It's write your answer in terms of pi. And our radius is 17, so it'll be 17 to the 3rd power. So let's clean this up a little bit. On the right-hand side, 17 cubed. So if you have a calculator like this, you're going to use, I'm going to go 17, and then I'm going to hit this, they call this a caret key. Looks like a little roof or an arrow going up. Touch that, and then I want it to the 3rd power, so I push 3, equals 4,913. So it's going to be volume equals 4 over 3 times pi times 4,913. If you use a calculator like this, you're just going to have to go 17 times 17 times 17. You do it 3 times, you get 4,913. So I'm going to clean this up. 4/3 times 4,913. And we get volume equals 6,550.6 repeating. And we're going to keep the pi there because it says write your answer in terms of pi. We don't need to go any further than that. So we're over here, 6,550.6 repeating. Pi, and talking millimeters, so millimeters cubed. Moving on to number 8. In number 8, it says the sphere has a radius of 4.2 centimeters. What's the volume to the nearest whole number? Whole cubic centimeter. And we're going to use 3.14 this time for our approximation of pi. All right, so we have our sphere. All right, so they're telling us our radius equals 4.2 centimeters. And that's all we really need. We just got to find out our volume. So our volume, our formula is volume equals 4 over 3 times pi times our radius cubed. So let's plug in everything we know. Our radius is 4.2. We have to cube it. So volume is equal to 4 over 3 times. Now they want us to use 3.14 for pi. So 3.14, they tell us to, times our radius cubed, so it'll be 4.2 cubed. So 4.2 cubed, that means 4.2 times 4.2 times 4.2, or 4 to the 3rd power. So we have volume equals 4 over 3 times 3.14 times 74.088. I'm going to multiply those 3 numbers together in my calculator. 4 over 3 times 3.14 times 74.088. And we get the answer. Volume equals 310.18. Now it's telling us in our question we need to round to the nearest whole cubic. So We have 310. We look at the number in our tenths place. It's 1. This number was 5 or bigger. We round up. If not, we stay the same. In this case, it's lower, smaller than 5. So our volume is going to stay at 310. And we're talking about centimeters cubed. So when you're doing these problems, make sure you're paying attention if they want you to use 3.14 or keep it in terms of pi. Sometimes they don't state it, so then you can do what's best for you, what works best for you. Okay, the next one is this sphere inside a cube. So what's the volume of the sphere, which has been placed inside a cube with the side lengths of 18 centimeters? So in a cube, we have to know that all sides are equal. So it's 18 by 18 by 18. We just got to worry about the sphere, nothing about the cube. We're going to use the cube dimension to help us. So we have to agree that the top and the bottom, we drew a line straight through from the top of the ball down to the bottom. It would be 18. Our diameter would be equal to 18. But we know to find the radius, we have to take our diameter divided by 2. So in this case, radius will be 18 divided by 2, which equals 9. So we're going to use 9 to help us in our formula. So our formula for a sphere, volume equals 4 over 3 times pi times our radius cubed. So I'm going to plug in everything we know. I don't know the volume yet. I'm trying to solve that. So 4 over 3 stays the same. I'm going to use 3.14 for my pi. And I'm going to use 9 for my radius, because that's what we figured out. 9 to the third power, 9 cubed. So I'm going to figure out what 9 cubed is. 729, so volume equals 4 over 3 times 3.14 times 729. I want to multiply all three of those together. 729 times 3.14 times 4 over 3. Volume will equal 3,052.08. And this one, I'm talking about centimeters. So centimeters cubed. Make sure you remember to label it correctly. I'll put 9 centimeters in there as well. These are all centimeters. 18 centimeters each. Okay, last page. So in our last learning target, what we're going to have to do is I can find the missing dimensions of a cylinder, cone, or sphere. And given the volume and one other dimension. So in this case, number 10 says a cylinder has a height of 14 meters, has a volume of 252 pi cubic meters. So find its radius to the nearest tenth of a meter. We have to show our work. So we have our cylinder. It says our height is 14. Our volume is 252 pi. But we don't know our radius. That's what we need to find. I'm going to put a question mark there. So we know 2 of the 3 things. So we're going to use our formula of finding the volume of a cylinder to be able to find out our radius. So volume equals, remember, it's going to be pi times radius squared times our height. And since our volume is in terms of pi, we're just going to keep it in terms of pi. Okay, so let's plug in what we know. Our volume is 252 pi. Make sure you include the pi. That's what our volume is. I'm going to set that equal to pi. We don't know our radius, so it's still r squared. Well, we know our height is 14. So I want to clear this out a little bit. I'm going to just divide by pi right away. Pi's cancel. So we have 252 equals r squared times 14. I need to get r by itself, so I need to get rid of this 14, so I divide by 14. What I do to one side, I do the other. 252 divided by 14, we get 18. So r squared equals 18. We're still not r by itself. We need to get rid of that square, so I have to take the square root. When I take the square root, of a square, they cancel out. So when I do one side, I do the other. So the square root of r is r. Square root of r squared is r, and the square root of 18 comes out to be 4.24. Yep, to the nearest tenth. So it's 4.24. Here's our tenths place. We look at the number behind it. It's not a 5 or bigger, so it's going to stay the same. So it's going to be r equals 4.2. And we're making that meters. It's not squared. It's just a measurement. We're not talking volume. We're just trying to find the radius. Okay, second to last problem, number 11. This time we're given a cone. We've got to find out what our missing dimension is. A cone has a volume of 271 cubic inches, has a radius of the base of 6 inches, so what's the height to the nearest whole number? So we're going to round to the nearest whole number. So we know our volume is 271. And we know the radius is 6, because that's what it tells us. We don't know our height. I'm going to put a question mark there. So once again, we know 2 of the 3 things. So we're going to use our formula to find out what our value of the height is. So our volume of a cone is 1/3 times pi times radius squared times our height. So we're going to plug in everything that we know. So in this case, I know my volume is 271 equals 1/3 stays the same. This time I'm going to use 3.14. You notice this volume, the volume that gave us, doesn't have a pi. So we know it's not in terms of pi. So I'm going to use 3.14. Radius was given to us with 6, so it's going to be 6 squared. But we don't know our h, so that's going to stay h. So we're going to clean this all up. So I'm just going to multiply these 3 numbers together. So we'll take care of 6 squared, it's 36. And so it's going to be 1/3 times 3.14 times 36. So we're going to multiply these 3 numbers together. So 1/3 on the calculator times 3.14 times 36 equals 37.68. H equals 271. Alright, we're almost done. We just have to get rid of, we got to get H alone, so I'm going to divide by 37.68. I'm going to do it one side and do the other. So 271 divided by 37.68, it's going to equal, so we have a height that equals 7.19. But in our question, it says we have to round to the nearest whole number. So we have 7, look at the number behind it in the 10th place. That 1 is not bigger than 5, so we're just going to stay the same. So our height is going to be 7, and they're talking about inches. We're not saying inches squared, cubed, we're saying inches. Our last problem for the review, it says find the radius of a sphere that has a volume of 2,304 pi. So this one, they're leaving the pi in there. So we knew they're saying it's in terms of pi. So I want to draw a sphere here. I always encourage you to draw your shapes to help you along the way. We know we need to find our radius. We don't know that. Put a question mark. But we know our volume they gave us is 2,304 pi. So we're going to use that volume to help us find out what our radius is. So remember, our formula for the volume of a sphere is 4/3 times pi times radius cubed. So to the third power. So I'm going to plug in what I know. I know my volume is 2,304 pi. So I'm going to write that 2,304 pi. Make sure you include the pi. Equals 4 over 3 pi times radius cubed. All right, I'm going to get rid of my pi. So I'm going to divide by pi, divide by pi. The pi's cancel on both sides. So all we have left is 2,304 equals 4 over 3 times r cubed. I need to get rid of that 4 over 3, so I want to multiply by the reciprocal. What I do to one side, we do the other. So the 3's cancel, the 4's cancel. So what I do to one side, I do the other. So it's going to be 3 over 4 times 2,304 over 1. I do that on the calculator. So 3 over 4, so 3/4 times 2,304. And we get 1,728 equals r cubed, or to the third power. We're not quite done yet. We need to get rid of this cube. So what I need to do is take the cube root. That's what that's called. So these would cancel out then. What I do to one side, I do the other. So we're asking ourselves, what number times itself 3 times will equal 1,728? So if you have a calculator similar to this one, it's rather easy to do. So what I'm going to do is, since I'm doing the third power, I'm going to put 3. And I'm going to click second. And what we're looking for is this symbol right here. It looks like an x over the square root. So I'm going to, since I put second already, so it looks like this on the screen. And then I'm going to put the number, 1,728. Set that equal, it's going to come out to be 12. So our answer is going to be 12. So it asked me, well, what if you have a different style calculator that doesn't do the cube root? So if you had one similar to this. Unfortunately, we got to do is a lot of guess and check. So say we picked, well, we knew that 10 to the third power is 1,000. 10 times 10 times 10 is 1,000. So we know it has to be more than 10. So then let's just start guessing. What if we did 11? So we have to go 11 times 11 times 11. We get 1,331. That's not big enough. So then we have to try 12. We're getting closer though. 12 times 12 times 12. 1,728. So that's the other way to do it on a calculator. A lot of you are going to be using this one for the test. So that's what you're going to have to do, unfortunately. So our radius is going to be 12, and they're talking about millimeters. And that is it. So be careful on the test. See what they're asking. If they want to keep the answer in terms of pi, or if you're supposed to use 3.14. Really look for those. Make sure you have your formulas down. And all you have, a lot of this test is just plugging in the information that's given to you. Sometimes it's the radius. Sometimes it's the volume. Sometimes it's the height. Sometimes it's all of the above. So good luck.